interviews. This has been really amazing learning or getting to know these athletes that are getting ready to get on stage at the Arnold, one of the most prestigious shows in the world, one that everyone that's in the bodybuilding fitness industry is vying to get an invite for. And it's really exciting. I can feel like within my stomach, I can just feel the nerves of these girls and what they're getting ready to encounter over this next week. We're just a week away.
Yeah, so we have been with an amazing day here. We've got these great interviews. So without any further ado, we've got two more amazing Arnold international fitness athletes waiting to be introduced. So Whitney, who have we got up next?
We have Terra Plum and Ariel Khadr. So Terra is a newbie in regards to the Arnold US. This is her first time competing on the Arnold US stage. However, she has won the Arnold UK. So she's familiar with competing and hitting those big stages. And then we have Ariel Khadr, who is the reigning Miss Fitness International. She's looking to get that title for a second time. So it's exciting to bring these two on.
Wow.
Ariel, welcome to the show.
Hi, ladies.
Hi, Monica. Hi, Whitney.
Hi, nice to meet you both. Yep, I'm Monica. It's so good to meet you. So thank you for taking time to come on. You both look amazing. I mean, I can see shoulders and your faces are all lean. You're a week away. I think my stomach's all excited for you guys. Like I start feeling the excitement stirring because so many years have been on stage and just feeling that. So you're a week away. So thank you for taking the time. I know this is like a week out. So we're going to just dive right in. And I'm curious, who were you as a youngster and how did you end up on the fitness stage originally and what year? Ariel, why don't we start with you?
Okay. So nice to meet you, Monica. I honestly got involved in fitness because of my parents. My parents wanted to compete. They never ended up competing. My mom looked up to people like you, Monica. So I've been following the industry, honestly, for, I don't know, over 20 years. So I used to follow fitness when it was CZiDesign or Kelly Ryan, you, like all those old time fitness competitors. When there was no figure, there was no bikini, there was no wellness, there was nothing other than fitness and bodybuilding. So I have a really long history with fitness. I ended up competing in a different organization in fitness when I was a kid. I won Miss Fitness International, Junior Fitness International when I was 11 years old, which was like a totally different organization. And then I competed as a teenager in the NPC and got my pro card when I just turned 17.
Wow.
So since then, I took a brief time off to go to college and be normal for a little bit. And then I decided I wanted to compete when I graduated college. So really that was like the season of 2016. And ever since then, the only year that I took off was in 2019 because I had a neck injury. And so every year that I've competed, I've made it to the Olympia and the Arnold, except for 2016, I did not do the Arnold. So this year will be my 6th Arnold, and last year in 2022 was my 6th Olympia.
Awesome. I love it. Well, congratulations on everything. And that's so fun that you know some of the old names.
Yeah.
Like, I guess you remember like Mary Yockey and Carol Simple.
Yeah, I forgot their names, but I know what they're doing. Like
Dale Tomita.
Yeah.
There's Mia Finnegan. Like,
Mia Finnegan, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, but the bodies were so different too. Everything was so different.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, fitness was so much harder because you had 4 different rounds to do.
4 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absurd.
I mean, just doing a 2-piece bikini and a 1-piece is hard enough, but to do the routine in multiple ways, that's like, forget about it.
Yep. That's a lot to remember.
Did you ever hear that there was one show that they had us, well, maybe more, sorry, not one show. There was a period of shows that they had us doing. One round was the Versa Climber All Out for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was one of our rounds. And there was a lot of women that were passing out backstage and having heart issues. Like they couldn't. And so they brought it down to 1 minute. They brought it down to 1 minute. And then it was after that, then they changed it to a rower,
like a row machine. Yeah, it was crazy.
What percent of your score was based on that?
A fourth.
So fitness was kind of like CrossFit.
It was 4 rounds, and they all, were a quarter. And then and the first Fitness International, this is a little history for you ladies. First Fitness International I competed in, because in 1996 before was Fitness USA, which I started in the Fitness USA pageant from 1991 to 95, and then in 95 Jan Tana, and I got invited to the first Fitness Olympia, and then 1996 I went to the Arnold, but I wasn't on stage, and it was still the Fitness USA at that time, although I had now was an IFBB competitor from the Fitness Olympia. So I went to the Arnold, but they had Fitness USA at the Arnold in 96. So 97 was the very first year they did the Fitness International, and they had 4 rounds, and one of them was a speaking round. You had to, we had to draw a question out of a box or something, and you had to answer it on stage. You had to dress however you wanted. You could dress however you want. Although the promoter told us, pretend you're going to a polo match.
That's really odd.
So we dressed, I had a little mini skirt on and a nice top, and I was, and I actually won that round, but it was really challenging because a lot of Europeans couldn't speak very well, and they couldn't the translation, and then and then it also kind of looked uncomfortable because some people just weren't good at presenting on stage. So it kind of, they took, that was the only time they ever did that round. But anyways.
Wow. How crazy. I didn't even know that. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Fun little trivia. So, okay. So back to Terra. I want to hear about so that's fun to just reminisce. So thank you, Ariel, for reminding me of all the years before. It's kind of fun to think about that. Yeah. So Terra, what about you? Who were you as young Terra Plum? I love your last name, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much also for having me, for doing this. This is great. So I grew up dancing and playing competitive soccer, and danced all the way through university, did my undergrad degree in dance, and then did a professional training program after that. And it wasn't until sort of that dance world was kind of winding down a little bit for me that I started going to the gym, and actually had a personal trainer. And very quickly after I started going to the gym, of course, I was wanting a goal or wanting something to work towards. And unlike Ariel, I had no idea about the bodybuilding world, fitness, none of it. It was all a mystery to me. But my trainer at the time, she said, well, if you want a show goal, you could do a show, and you could actually probably do fitness because you have this dance background. And in the moment, I was like, oh my gosh, no, I can't imagine doing that. You're telling me my goal should be to put on a bikini and get on stage. And I was like, this is so far out of my comfort zone. And then, time goes on, and I still was wanting to work towards something that would be a challenge. And here we are. So I did my first show in 2015. Was the very first time I competed. And then I got my pro card in 2018 at Vancouver Pro. And the Arnold Classic next weekend will actually be my 20th pro show. So I squeezed in a lot of wonderful show experiences. And
20th. That's
since
a lot.
2018. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So impressed. It's so fun to hear people's stories and kind of find out how they got into this and what their journey is. And I find that learning about the journey is really, really rewarding.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We were saying everyone has a story. So it's always interesting. And obviously you guys are coming from completely different sides. Now, I have to ask too, with Ariel, with your background, with your knowledge of the sport, you were continually moving up. And like you said, you've done very well. I mean, you're coming in as the reigning champ. Do you feel the pressure? Do you feel a a little bit more relaxed because you competed at the Olympia. You both competed at the Olympia. So you didn't have this break. So is it wearing on you? Are you tired? Like, how are you feeling going in?
Honestly, I was not happy with my performance and my showing at the Olympia. So for me, I feel like actually I'm excited that I don't have that much time, that I can actually redeem myself in my mind. I don't necessarily care about where I place. Honestly, it's really about me and how I feel about my how I put myself out there. And I just was not happy truly with how I performed at the Olympia. So for me, I'm like actually excited that I can do a brand new routine, be a lot better than I was, and feel a lot better, honestly, going into this. So I do feel the pressure more so that I put on myself. But as far as being the champ, like it sounds so surreal to say, to go there and say you're defending your title when it's been realistically a dream come true. It's really hard to take that in and totally conceptualize while you're still trying to focus on actually attaining the goal, which is to win again, honestly.
Yeah.
So the pressure's there, but I try not to really focus on it, because if you focus on it too much, then that's really, really detrimental. Yeah.
That's so you're doing a whole new routine.
Absolutely. The second I got on, I made brand new music. Like I didn't know what I was gonna do, honestly, as soon as I was done with the Olympia, even before the Olympia for the Arnold.
Yeah.
But I was happy that somehow I had motivation to get some kind of headspace, because I do everything myself. I do my music, the choreography. I mean, I don't do everything entirely, but I come up with like the concept and everything that's pretty much about the routine. I do have some help outside of that, but it's really all me doing everything. So
that's such crazy being that creative for yourself to be able to implement that. That definitely was not something I could do when I did fitness. I had to have a lot of help.
Well, and especially since both of you are coming off of the Olympia too. I mean, you do have that option. Like, okay, well, some minor tweaks or whatnot. We're interviewing several of the fitness athletes, and some didn't compete at Olympia, so they had that break. Others did. They're continuing to do the same routine. But Terra, you're in the same situation. You competed at Olympia. You decided doing a brand new routine. You were even coming up with ideas before the Olympia with music and stuff. I mean, it's such a process. How has your experience been post-Olympia, waiting for the announcement to see if you're on the list? Because you haven't competed at the Arnold in the US, whereas Ariel, being the reigning champ, pretty obvious you're getting an invite. That wasn't the case for you, Terra. So how was that break post-Olympia?
Yeah, it was, you're right. I did kind of before Olympia think, okay, if I was to get invited, what would I be doing routine wise? But then also not trying to put all my eggs in that basket of being invited, because I just didn't know what was going to happen. So I obviously wanted to just soak up Olympia and enjoy that experience. And then after Olympia, I did start, similar to Ariel, just, putting little bits together to music, again, kind of in this unknown place of whether or not I would use this routine if I were to get invited to the Arnold or further down the road, possibly. But just started to put something together. I'm someone that likes to sort of feel, if anything, over prepared rather than under prepared. So just for my own kind of headspace, I felt like if I could start piecing bits together, that would be beneficial, whether or not I got an invite. And then, yes, that was a really exciting, of course, those invites came out, and I truly didn't know. I didn't know what way that was going to go. So I was super excited to see my name on this list with all these other amazing fitness competitors. And I did kind of same thing. I cut my own music and come up with my own costume idea and most of the choreography. And then Whitney kind of jumps in and helps with bits and pieces here and there, and we tweak things together. But I like kind of the creative process of it as well, and sort of figuring out what works for me and what feels good or natural kind of in the way that I move or the way I present certain things. So,
which is amazing, because to your point, Monica, there's not a lot of the fitness athletes who do their choreography on their own. And especially when you're drilling and your mind's focused on Olympia, Olympia, Olympia. And then you got to shift gears and go, okay, starting from scratch, what? New music, new costume, completely new routine.
Oh, that would have stressed me way out.
Yeah, but that's impressive for both of you guys.
Right.
And both of you guys create amazing routines, very entertaining, very high flying, high degree of difficulty. So massive props to you guys.
So I have some questions because I'm thinking of like old school fitness, and there was very few people back then. And every once in a while you get one, right? Like Jen Hendershot and Kelly Ryan. I think Carol kind of brought in one time, like in the beginning, but Phantom of the Opera or something. But back then there wasn't a lot of storyline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Jen Hendershot? She brought in some really crazy themes, and
We did.
Do you remember she came out in a big banana suit? I mean, she walked out on stage with a giant banana suit. It was nuts. And I mean, there were so many others, and then Kelly came out with her stuff. But you either had, a few of these that did these kind of big costumes and put, now I know, there's, so I see a lot of it. But we also, then you had the competitor like me who was just, I'm just going to wear a, cute outfit that shows my, shows and does what it needs to do. And then I'm doing a routine that's just kind of like things that I can do. So, but I didn't have a theme.
Mm-hmm.
What's the protocol, or is there a percentage maybe of athletes that, or is that kind of the thing now? Like everyone's like, you got to have a theme if you're going to stand out. Because back then we didn't think that was necessary. It wasn't like, oh, you have to have a theme to stand out and be looked at. We also had, and so this another question is, we also had you had to have 3 cuts of music. They were like, you have to have it, and you have to, like, you can't, and then it was also and then they became adding in that you had to have mandatory moves in there, right? So what is the idea, maybe, and maybe you two are just both very creative and have these amazing ideas that come to life, and that's pretty amazing. But do you feel like it's kind of a necessary thing now for athletes to have a theme?
I don't.
Terra, maybe, or Whitney, if you want to share your thoughts.
I'll give a quick overview because I'd love to hear what both of you guys think. A theme isn't necessary, and for a lot of the girls that I choreograph, whether it's NPC or IFBB, you just have to be able to pull off a theme. Do a theme if that's your thing, but you got to do it right. You got to pull it off with the costume. The music's got to back it up, and you got to be able to get in character. So if you're not someone that's comfortable dancing, if you're not comfortable with expression, a theme's probably not your thing. Or you can change it up. One year you do a theme, and then the next year you don't. It's more like if you're feeling it. I know, Ariel, you pull off some incredible themed routines. And so that's kind of what you've been known for. You don't use crazy props. You're in character, and it's worked well for you. Terra, you do a lot in your high-flying aerobics type routines, and you like to mix your music. So yours isn't really theme-based. It's more just performance-based, and you're bringing something different each time. But I'd love to hear each of your thought process in regards to whether you really think about a theme, or do you just kind of pick music and go? So Terra, why don't you start us out?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the athlete. And I think, exactly what Whitney said, like you have to find what works for you. And when I'm brainstorming, my creative mind, I think of themes. I really do. And I'm like, I could do this. But my strengths as a performer are not to pull off those character themed routines. And I know that about myself. So when you have Ariel doing Terminator and you have Oksana as the Joker, who pull off these themed characters flawlessly and incredibly, I'm like, that's not my strength as a performer. I know that my strength as a performer is to be fun and high energy. And so that is the direction I tend to go when I'm choosing my music and my costume and my choreography. So I think it really just depends on what kind of a performer you are and what you're the most comfortable with.
Yeah.
What about you,
awesome.
Ariel?
Yeah, I mean, and there's no right or wrong, really. I think it's important, like you said, just to find what's comfortable with. But yes, Ariel.
I think the hardest part for this conversation is, like, for me, it's easy for me to do a theme. Like, that's my forte. It would be hard for me to actually try to do a routine like Terra and pull it off as well as she does to an extent. And I don't even like mean it like that. It's just like kind of like what she's saying. Everybody is a different performer. So for me, I get into character and I like actually feel the character and I get into the routine. And so that's why the performance reads that way. And so for me, that's what I do best. And I feel that is the best performances that I have done. So I don't want to go away from what I think I'm doing the best for myself and what the audience and my fans like. But
You're doing well with it. You don't want to change it.
And
I don't think the theme is necessary because, like, you could try to do a theme and then it looks like you're faking it or you're trying too hard, and then that's me, like, not.
That would have been me. You know, that's such an interesting perspective that you just said, turning it around. Like, you wouldn't feel comfortable not having a theme.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
honestly, like, for example, in 2021, I did a routine that I guess I kind of don't know what I was thinking, like, being honest. So I just, like, it wasn't a bad routine, but for me, it was just, there was nothing about it that was like stood out for me. Where when I do a themed performance, it was like, if there was a little kid in the audience sitting there and they don't know anything about fitness, like, what are they going to remember and which costume did they like who did they like and why? Because with little kids, they don't know anything. That's how I see it. It's like, if you go to Cirque du Soleil versus Jabberwockies, they're both entertaining, but they're completely different. So, dog agrees.
Dog agrees, exactly.
That's like a perfect example to me of, like, both being an amazing performance, but they're both completely different.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it's down to what the judges want and what's most fitting for fitness.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Wow. That's awesome. Great information. And then what about, like, are there any mandatory moves that you're supposed to do nowadays? Because, you know, when they brought in the mandatory moves routine was 1998 when I won the Olympia, and it was crazy because they brought it in 3 weeks before, and I was like, the front splits. I mean, I was like, I got side splits, but front splits was a mandatory move. It was crazy. Oh. And so they gave us, I think, 6 or 7 mandatory moves that we were supposed to do.
And they only told you 3 weeks out.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, because they had 4 rounds. And when we went to, because the year I won was in France. And so we went to compete in France. And they didn't want to, you know, drag a piece of equipment there. So they said, oh, we're going to give you a mandatory. It's like gymnastics. You're going to have mandatory moves. And so they gave us a list of mandatory moves. We had 40. We had to do it in a 45-second piece of music. And I was like, kept my super condensed. And that's when we had to wear the black cat suit.
Yeah.
A black cat suit. We got all the tan. Okay. It's crazy. But yeah, so they took that routine was around for a long time. And then, of course, all of a sudden now you've just got 2 different routines. One's in a cat suit in 45 seconds or less, and one's in, 2 minutes in your outfit. It was just nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy how much has changed.
Leave it to non people that don't know what you girls do in order to, or, what we had to do to get ready to compete at that level in a routine round, like with routines, is crazy. But so again, the question is, are there mandatory moves still?
Yes.
Do they have the front split as one of them still?
Yeah. To be honest,
I had to fake it, but it still worked.
Yeah. And the thing is, you could probably fake, but the mandatory, and this isn't to hurt anyone's feelings, but they're pretty easy. Let's be honest. So, and you just have to incorporate it, but there's a lot of flexibility. You can do any form of a push-up. It doesn't have to be a one-arm push-up anymore. So any type of push-up, you have to do a kick, you have to do a straddle hold, and you have to do a split. So there are mandatories, but they give us the leverage and freedom to really create whatever we want off of those 4 minimal things. And if you can't do those as a pro athlete, are you sure you should be a pro?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I really do feel like the guidelines for the mandatory moves, really anyone that's competing can probably do those moves. If you want to be on stage and perform and do like a performance routine, you can do those moves as far as what is mandatory.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. I think I want to say that we had 6 or 7 that we were supposed to do. I don't know, but anyways, that was.
Yeah, there was a lot back then. There was like a one-arm flip, a pike hold, a straddle hold, a split, a straddle split, I think, and then like high kick, and then there was one more.
Yes, thank you. You're remembering all the ones.
I know, because I competed on there was still rules like
Yeah, a long time.
like the high kick where it was like 1, 2, like
Yeah,
aerobic.
more like kicks.
Yeah, it was really like got judged that way. But again, there was no other division, so
Yeah.
to make a show, I mean, maybe there was like to put more stuff in pre-judging. You had a katsu, like there was the 2-piece and the 1-piece, and there was just more of there was more a show. Now you don't need that because there's bikini, wellness. There's so many divisions.
Yes.
Honestly,
So some of the other girls were discussing at the Olympia that the stage was squishy and walking in heels was a bit challenging, and the other competitors from bikini and wellness did not know that there was a squishy stage, that they had never been told until they got out there. And then maybe some of the first girls that went out were like, oh my gosh, coming back, like the stage, like the girls were almost falling and having a hard time. And like, Whitney, how do you fix that for women in high heels? Like, I'm thinking squishy floor and high heels is not real appropriate, especially with what the posing is nowadays. Like,
I'll be honest. So I noticed that I was doing commentary for the Olympia, and I know everyone's routines. I know their athletic ability. And I remember kind of just being like, what the heck is going on? Because fitness started, or like really kind of did the big performance. And I know everyone is high flying, they're push flies, balance. And then the girls were saying, the floor is so squishy that you're not used to practicing on that. And everyone's balance was off. So you try to do these crazy strength hold, these crazy handstands, you're trying to get airborne. Well, when there's too much padding, it kills your routine.
Right.
Every fitness girl struggled. You guys both struggled. And again, just to walk in heels is hard enough, but it completely changed everyone's routines where they didn't quite have the pop, and girls were missing skills that they never miss. Ariel, you even said, you and I talked backstage, and you're like,
I was so disappointed in I try to not be negative about it in practice. I really was like, as a professional, I'm not going to allow the floor to hinder my performance. And so I really did. Usually I literally just sit on the floor and kind of mark where I'm going to go. But this time I was like, I got on stage and did one handstand and I was like, whoa. It was literally like quicksand. And I was like, okay, let me try to figure this out. And I'm not trying to blame anyone, but I did mark the floor with tape, like where I can specifically do those moves, because I didn't want it to look unprofessional that you can't pull off the moves, no matter what the floor was. Mm-hmm. And the tape was all removed. So like when I got out there, I was just like, I really have no idea, but there was like nowhere I could do my moves. And when I was watching like Instagram girls with their heels, it was literally sinking into the floor. Yeah. I don't want to blame anyone, but
no, this like, is nuts.
We need to fix that for next year. Like this, not.
Whitney, who do you go to? And because the floor thing has been an issue from the get-go. I mean, this has been an issue for us forever and ever and ever. There was one Olympia, ladies, where they had a big cutout of they had this stage, and then they had these like angled pieces that came like this, that where you would walk down an angle, and there was a big cutout. So you're flying, you're doing all your stuff in the routine, and all I could think about was there's a big hole right here. If I go a little bit, I will fly off the back of the stage. And it's like, I mean, this floor has been a nuts forever. So Whitney, how do you go in there, and who do you talk to about saying that's not appropriate?
Well, what's funny is backstage at the Olympia, when the girls had kind of said, hey, this flooring, the stage. So I went to ask, I'm like, what's going on with the floor? And they go, well, we were told it was your idea. I'm like, wait, my idea? Apparently I was to blame.
To be honest, from what I heard, there was like, supposedly 3 of us did not want that floor. It was me. I mean, just straightforward. Me, Jacqueline, and Missy didn't want the floor. We wanted a hard floor.
Yeah.
And the rest of the girls, there was like 20 girls doing fitness. They said they wanted padding on the floor or something.
Well, and
so honestly, I've never had any experience like this before. I've done a lot of shows as a pro and not a pro, and I've never had, and as even guest posing. I've never had anything like this.
We all know going in that you're going to have a hard stage to work on, and you prepare for a hard stage. So it's crazy.
Well, and I know because Terra, you were even there when they were asking. They had said, "Hey, for the flooring," because it was, since it was a different venue. I said, if it's like cement, then a thin carpet would help. But that was it. So I don't know where they came up with this. The only good thing is it's
Whitney,
not that venue again. I was like, blame me. Everyone always blames, whatever. Like, I mean, never. To have it be that much padding, unless it's a spring floor where it's going to,
And that would be exciting. That'd be even more fun.
but even then, it was like you would need to let them know so people could prepare. But it makes it hard for balancing. It's great for high flying stuff. But when you're doing handstands and you're doing strength skills, you need a solid floor with no cushion. It does help to have a thin layer of carpet if you're doing knee drops and knee spins where you're not drilling yourself on carpet, on the concrete. But yeah, I don't know. But I'm just glad it's not going to be another issue next year.
So moving into this week, Terra, when do you arrive at the Arnold, and what is your kind of schedule look like? And are you at any booths while you're there to meet fans, and what does it look like for you?
So I arrive on Tuesday, and you know what? I don't have any obligations booth wise, but I definitely will. I believe our athlete meeting is Thursday, and then our kind of meet the pros evening is Thursday as well. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we're on stage on Friday. So honestly, with this experience, like, it's my first Arnold Classic. So I'm just kind of like a kid in a candy store soaking it in, and just honored to be there and really excited to experience it and share the stage with 8 other amazing fitness competitors. So it's going to be a really fun week. And then I intentionally plan so I don't actually fly out until Sunday. So I'll have Saturday to sort of, enjoy the expo and go to the party with the pros Saturday evening, and just soak it all in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And who's going with you? Who will you have with you?
No one's coming with me from here. So it'll just be, I know Whitney's flying out, so I'll meet her out there, and
we're going to be roomies. So party room.
Okay. You've got all you need then.
Yeah. And I know there's some other fitness girls who aren't competing, but they're going to be out there just kind of watching and cheering for all of us. So that's always
we'll have a big group for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Ariel, what about you? When do you arrive, and what's your schedule look like?
I'll get in on Monday, and while I'm there, I mean, obviously relax until Thursday. Meet and greet is on Thursday as well at 7 to 9. And then we compete Friday, so make sure to stay tuned there. And then Saturday, I most likely will be at the expo. I am sponsored by Gasp and Better Bodies. I should be at the booth. I honestly don't know what time I'll be there, either in the morning or in the later afternoon, but I will probably stop by the booth. If not, I'll just be around the expo, and you guys can say hi if you are there.
Okay, so I have a question, and Whitney and I were kind of talking about this a little bit before you came on. As a few past former fitness competitor, I remember trying to figure out that perfect, how long to stay home and continue to practice on my routine versus getting to the show and then not having a place to do any practice really, unless, you're in your room kind of trying to, do something, but that doesn't work unless you, maybe do you have a location? Do you do any practice for any routine pieces once you leave home and arrive in Ohio? Is there any practice of anything, or is it just like resting, recuperating, and then when you get backstage, you're ready to go and warm up? So Ariel, what about you? You're there Monday. So are you off the whole week, or are you finding a place to go practice some things?
I don't normally do that. I don't normally go and try to find a routine place to do my full, like I don't honestly practice like parts of my routine. So for me, even if I'm in the gym, like at the hotel gym or even in the hotel, at somewhere I could do my handstands. So that was a problem at the Olympia because me specifically as one of the athletes is my forte is handstand moves. So that is the hardest part of my routine for me. So that's not necessarily something you need like a space to do your full routine for. So it's actually a little bit easier for me to have to do that actually for the few days before the show. Conditioning wise, as far as your routine goes, I mean, realistically, as all of us fitness competitors, we should be conditioned enough to have known that we can do a full routine, that if we take 3 days off, that we can still do it the next day.
Right. I think sometimes it's sometimes the mental part of it, right? Like, because we get so used to practice, and all of a sudden there's like no practice and nothing. And it's like, it's sometimes the mental game of just going, I don't have to practice. I'm okay. I've got this. I'm going to be a warm up and body's ready to go. So maybe that's just the conditioning of the brain, right?
I do think it's important to honestly listen to your music and visualize doing your routine.
Yeah.
Your body and your mind gets conditioned to the music.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we probably don't talk about a lot, but that's something that I think we all do.
Yeah.
That's important to do.
Yeah, I remember having my little cassette tape player and my little headphones that go over. My music guy would give me a handful of different notes because you have to turn some in, and then you also wanted to have a couple on you in case you lost one or one broke or one wasn't playing. You'd have it, and it would just repeat. I remember doing my cardio, like listening over and over, like. Terra, what about you? I guess you'll get there on Tuesday, so no practice for you either, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I typically run my routine full out on Sundays, and so I'll do that Sunday, and that'll be kind of the last time I do it, and I just trust that I've done it enough, so it doesn't stress me out that I don't have a place to practice that week leading up to the show. I do listen to my music for sure and visualize everything, as Ariel said. And then we'll have a little bit of time on stage before our routines to kind of warm up. So I'll warm up some of my skills then. But really between Monday and Friday, I won't run routine stuff. I'll just try to relax and chill and trust that in the many weeks leading up to the show, I've kind of put the work in, and I can just relax once I get there.
Yeah, be fresh, ready to go.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, why don't we start, Ariel, and just share how people can get a hold of you, and do you do any coaching of any kind?
I do, and I do have a lot of things coming, so stay tuned for that. But you can contact me on Instagram. I do see it below. It's Ariel Khadr, or you can shoot me an email too, arielkhadr@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest right now. You can find me there, Facebook. They're all the same. It's Ariel Khadr or Ariel Khadr.
Awesome. And what do you, when you do coaching, what type of coaching do you offer?
Well, I'm working on a couple of things, but I do like one-on-one training as far as everything is customized for you, specifically whatever you want to do as far as lose weight, gain weight, compete, whatever the case is.
Okay, great. Do you have a bunch of young girls that are wanting to do fitness?
You know, it's hard to recruit, so to speak, girls trying to do fitness. And I think that's something that we could have a whole different podcast on that. But yeah. I actually don't. But I do have a lot of people that'll tell me like their daughter looks up to me or like sees you and wants to be like you, things like that. That makes me really want to start thinking about how we can do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that would be a good show.
Yeah.
Recruiting for fitness. And what about you, Terra? How can people get a hold of you? And do you do any coaching as well?
Yeah, so probably, again, the best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram, which you can see there. It's just TJ_Plum. And I don't actually work in this industry, which is, I think a lot of competitors also work in the industry and do a lot of coaching. I'm a physical therapist, so I see clients at my clinic that I work there, and I own a multidisciplinary clinic. So that's sort of my work life. I think if anything, fitness-wise for competitors, I'd love to work with sort of like amateur competitors working on their routines. So just being an extra set of eyes and helping with some skills and choreo and cleaning stuff up. But to be honest, I haven't done a lot of that. But that's sort of, I think, where, you know, I would be more than happy to help people as they're trying to figure out a routine, if anything.
That's awesome. Well, it's fun to hear you guys want to give back and be a part of the industry and support as long as possible and support the new generations coming up. So yeah. I am not someone who says good luck. You work way too hard. I am a person that says best of skill. So best of skill to you both. I appreciate you guys coming on so much. And I know we're just, you know, such a short time away from the show. I'm very excited for you both. I know there's a huge amount of competition there across the board. Everyone's going to be amazing, but best of skill to you both, and give you each a hug for me, and give one to Whitney for me since I can't see her and I won't be at the show this year, but big hug to you guys, and just love on each other, take pictures, enjoy your moments, and God bless you and keep you safe and healthy all the way through. Thank you guys.
Thank
Can't
you.
wait to see you, girls.
It's great to see you both. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh. Again.
Yeah. Everyone is so fun.
I know. Pretty amazing ladies. I'm just blown away with everyone's attitudes and professionalism and how they handle themselves. And I'm just, it's really amazing. Hey guys, if you've enjoyed the 𝗦𝗽liche Brant Show, don't forget to subscribe, ring that bell, and if you have any ideas or suggestions for the show, comment below and I'm happy to get back to you.